I have friends from high school being like, dude, you haven't changed one iota. But when you zoom in and you look at where I was at season one, I was 33. I was in my mind, I was like scared of commitment. I was trying to figure out, my entrepreneurial career. I had so many friends. I was incredibly social, out 4 times a week. So, a lot has in fact changed, but yeah, it was a bit of a anticlimactic first episode from a partying standpoint,
Yeah.
but I can assure you that we get back to our roots as the season progresses. But yeah, it's been 7 years. It's a good little span of time.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. And I have to ask you about this crazy bedroom situation. Like, that was super confusing. What happened?
Yeah, I've seen some things surface that think it was like the producers. I can assure you that it was the fire marshal.
Wow.
We basically, so what happened right before we moved in season 6,
Mhm.
the home had changed hands. Someone had just bought it. And what they thought they were buying was a 7-bedroom house
Mhm.
because there were 7 bedrooms. If you include Andrea's and Danielle's from season 6.
Mhm.
And then we go just like Winter House, and we make some modifications to make it more accommodating.
Mhm.
So the den was Luke's bedroom. That is now the gym.
Yeah.
And then the dining room was Alex's bedroom, which is now like a sitting room.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the fire marshal, I don't know if they happened to catch the show or what. They came in and it was all set up for us, with 9 bedrooms, just like the previous season. And they were like, nah, this is zoned as a 5-bedroom house. So it was like, okay, back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that and then lend itself to more drama since people are like sort of bunking with each other?
Um, to be honest, everyone was like fairly accommodating, but I think it kind of lends itself to more conversations kind of happening between closed doors because you're now sharing, like everybody's essentially sharing a room, including like the couples, right? And it's kind of like, wait, where is everybody? And then you find out everyone's in the girls' room, but the room that they're in wasn't the girls' room last weekend. So it
Yeah.
was fun. It was like an interesting kind of wrinkle that I think added to the show. I don't know if it added drama, but it certainly added for some interesting bedroom discussions.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. And I will say that first episode, I sort of felt bad for you because you were sort of like, where's the party? And you're snacking by yourself in the kitchen and everyone's sort of, do you think part of it had to do with like there were fewer guys like that just wanted to party this season or?
That's certainly a factor, right? And even among the women, like we were down a couple that first weekend. Ciara and Danielle were not there yet. So, I mean, I think the mood was a little off, and then again, it's a Saturday morning. If people are waking up at 7 a.m. to go work out,
Mhm.
that kind of sets a weird tone. It's like that's not what this has ever been about. Like I wake up at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday
Yeah.
to go to the gym.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, that's a really weird precedent to set night one for 3 newbies. Like this is not normal. Like
Yeah.
don't think that we take ourselves so seriously. I think I reenacted, Clark Griswold from Vacation, with the clipboard. But I also was just like, hey, if anyone's going to work out, what about the guy who's trying to stay in shape as a almost 40-year-old? So I didn't even get the look. So I was like, not only is this weird, we're getting up early precedent being set, but I'm not even getting asked. And people and people that Carl and Lindsay had just met are getting the looks. It was weird. I hated it. It was, you know me, I like to have a good time, and I like to make sure everybody around me is having a good time, particularly like Chris has never spent time in the Hamptons. Right.
Yeah.
I kind of took it upon me. I want to make sure he, gets the experience that will make it, a memorable summer.
Yeah. And that is hard for you too, because I know in Winter House, when Carl and Lindsay came, you opened up and you said that Carl was struggling with Lindsay's drinking, and then she stopped drinking, which was great and supportive. And he's, sober, which you support. But at the same time, he's sort of struggling, and it kind of puts you in an interesting position. Is that sort of how you feel?
Yeah. And it had nothing to do with Carl not drinking or partying. I mean, he started to cut back significantly on his drinking season 5. He was stone cold sober season 6. We were still buddy. The bromance was alive and well. So to me, it was clear as day that something else has changed, right? It has nothing to do with me not supporting, him trying to cut that part of his life out. And so, yeah, I think there was some tension among the women in particular, at Winter House. And then, when none of that was addressed at the reunion, I kind of like Amanda and I kind of felt compelled to like try to facilitate that conversation. And I think that actually made Lindsay and Amanda's relationship, which was already complicated, even a little more strenuous. And now they're a package deal. So it was just like a little bit of a perfect storm of like minor things that just started to add up. And, Carl and I have never had any conflict going into this summer. And we've never been at odds with one another on this show. And so it was uncharted territory for us, and you can see it, like, even in the moment, like we still have a lot of love and respect for one another. And so it's like we're basically dancing around like the elephant in the room and just not addressing it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That is. And it is hard to see. Did you know at that point that perhaps his time at Loverboy was going to be short, or when did you realize he was going to leave?
I mean, look, we're no longer a little 3, 4, 5 person company, right? Yeah. So the needs of the company had already evolved pretty significantly. Carl's role had already kind of shifted, even though we hadn't changed his title. Mm-hmm. I was trying to, I didn't want to hurt his feelings, quite frankly. We'd already brought on a new kind of VP of distribution, which was essentially a new VP of sales. And it was already a couple months in the making where I'm like being told by other employees that, hey, is Carl like in this? Is his head in it? Is his heart in it? And so I knew there was a chance that, I think I said it weekend 1. I felt like he could just quit any minute. So it already dawned on me. I never thought it actually happened, because I think Loverboy has given him a ton of purpose and, stability. And we've built this thing, from the ground up. So I honestly didn't think it would ever really happen. And it just was like a long, slow, drawn out, process. It wasn't until November that he finally was like, hey, and I was kind of at that point too. I'm like, something's got to change. So, it sucks, but I think it allows us to focus on our friendship. We got dinner the other night, and it was so long overdue, where we just focused on us, and it was not about, hey buddy, like, things were good, but now you seem a little checked out. Like, we just had so many conversations that felt like we were talking in circles. Mm-hmm. And then we would just repeat that and repeat that and repeat that. So it was a breath of fresh air. It was a weight off both of our shoulders. But yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. What people are watching right now is, the beginning of all that.
Right. I know everything is like so long ago. And then, it's great seeing you and Amanda. How is married life, and has things changed a lot since you guys got married, or is it pretty much the same?
I mean, married life is good. I think that, we certainly have an interesting dynamic in the sense that, we're filming 2 different TV shows. We have a work relationship, just like, like I had with Carl, that creates complications. And then, as if we didn't already have enough on our plate, we adopted 2 dogs and have this. Yeah. It's like, oh shoot, it's no longer all about me and my agenda and my schedule, which is probably a good little stepping stone to starting a family. So there's been, just like any couple with that many different opportunities for complications, we've had our fair share, as a married couple, but we're in a good place. And I mean, last season we didn't watch a single episode together because it was tough to relive it. And this season, we're back to watching it together. So, it's we're in a good place.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and I love the dogs and the fostering. I always watch Amanda and her puppies, which is great. Now the other, issues in the house, we've got the Danielle and Lindsay thing that was very surprising. Did you see the tension building between the 2 of them at all?
No. When Danielle comes in the house, it's episode 2, and she's still ride or die, Lindsay, and Carl for that matter. So, I mean, look, it's not like I have like a pulse on every little intricacy of their relationships, but I did not see it coming. They had always spent a ton of time together. They had just done a weekend in Montauk a couple weeks before we started filming, so it was, it was tough. You'll see, I do my best to try to help bring them together and talk it out, because there was clear miscommunications, but it's a summer of firsts.
Yeah, no, with you and Carl and then Lindsay, and Danielle, it is, because I had talked to Danielle right before you guys started filming, and you're right. She was all about them moving in together and everything. Can you say what you think was the problem between?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be 100% spot on about this, but I was just asked a similar question, and I thought about it for the first time. And I honestly think some of the initial fallout was from Danielle kind of actually making amends with Ciara and starting to build inroads with some of the other women in the house that for so long, I think were off limits. Even if Danielle had no beef with them, it was like, well, I'm a diehard, supporter of Lindsay, my best friend. And so if she's at odds with some of these other, housemates, then, I can't hang with them. And yeah, I think that's kind of the root of, at least that's kind of what I recall, is like, Lindsay started to see Danielle having a good time with some of the other housemates, and I don't think she liked it. But of course, I'm sure there's lots of things I wasn't privy to, but that was just my first take on where some of this animosity started to kind of stem from.
Okay. I guess we'll all find out really, as it goes. Do you think, also when Carl and Lindsay get married, do you think you're going to officiate?
I have no expectation for Carl to return the favor. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I think he's really stepped up to the plate, and Amanda and I, it was funny. We were talking through, we almost had one of our former showrunners, one of our like executive producers, officiate, because, he had seen us during our highs and our lows, and had always been a big supporter. But then we were like, wait, so is Carl, like times 10.
Yeah.
And so it was just like this epiphany where like, it has to be Carl. I think for them, they're going to have, their own epiphany. And, I by no means expect to be officiating.
But would you do it?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather plan a bachelor party than officiate a wedding, but
Yeah. Is he already have they even made plans yet, or they're just still?
I think they're closing in on a destination and a date.
Okay.
But as we all know, that's complicated. There's a lot of factors. So, I think they're hoping it's going to be, in November.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can really say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they don't have the hurdles you guys faced with COVID and everything.
I know. Carl's like, he has a newfound appreciation for filming with your significant other. And now he has a newfound appreciation for wedding planning. It's literally the first thing he said when we sat down for dinner. He's like, dude, I don't know how you did it.
Yeah.
He's like, we're not dealing with a pandemic. And it's still a nightmare.
Yeah, no. I have major props for you guys. That was really hard. Before I let you go, I do have to ask you a Winter House question. Love Winter House. It's so fun. Is there anyone out there in the Bravo Love universe that you would love to maybe be one of the housemates?
Oh, I mean, I love the fact that Bravo's kind of leaning in to the fact that, particularly with BravoCons taking place, like there's this natural crossover effect happening, and somehow Summer House continues to be at the root of a lot of it. I think I would love for the Toms to not just come for, a weekend, but stay for the whole thing. I think there's a bunch of fun people, Family Karma, Below Deck.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of franchises with, young, fun, interesting people that, now I've had a chance to meet them, even if it's just in passing. So who knows?
Yeah. I'm seeing like Brian Benny there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Brian would be perfect.
Brian's great. No, I love Brian.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Any end in sight to Summer House? Do you think maybe it'll end up being Family Vacation House eventually, or as time goes on?
Who knows? I mean, look, I think that as this season goes on, we'll kind of get back to our roots, throwing some house parties, stupid drunken antics and shenanigans, and hopefully it provides that escape for people. But look. Friendships evolve, relationships evolve. Like, if the show can evolve with us, but still deliver on the fun, entertaining, factor, great. But, for now, I feel like I could be doing this well into my late 40s. So I'm sure Amanda would hate to hear that, but she's probably the only one who's like, if you are ready to tap out, so am I. Because, she's much more introvert. I mean, like when we film and we rap, I mean, it's like she needs like weeks to decompress. So it's definitely not for everybody, and it's not going to be for us forever. But right now we're having a lot of fun doing it, even through thick and thin. And I couldn't imagine a summer, doing anything different.